let's talk about some narratives real quick. We have this story from Newsweek. Uvalde mom who saved kids from school shooting says police threatened her. Have y'all seen the video of the mom who went in the building giving an interview and explaining what happened? I will tell you this. The conclusion is simple. Either intentionally or inadvertently, police helped the shooter in Uvalde. Yes. That is not being disputed right now. So when people came out and slammed the police because they were standing in the hallway for 70 minutes, at this point, everyone said it was incompetence. These people are cowards. But then when this mother says the police actually stopped her inside and they tried stopping her while she was already in the building, you have to wonder if there were people in the building trying to get in the classroom, this mother, and the police not only were not going in, but they were even stopping her and others. And this only ended because I believe it was a CBP tactical unit that defied orders and just breached the building. The cops there, I would presume, were just accidentally helping the shooter. Heaven forbid they knew it was happening and said, no, we're going to let it roll out.
Oh, nobody would. I'm going to totally reject that. I don't think that is what happened, but I do believe that it's gross incompetence. I am someone, anybody who's watched me knows that I'm very pro-law enforcement, pro-good law enforcement, as I think we all should be, but I don't think there's any excuse for what happened. I'll also note the U.S. Marshals lied about this. They blatantly lied about it. They denied handcuffing any parents, even though immediately there were videos of handcuffed parents on the ground. This is May 27th, 8:58 a.m., U.S. Marshals official Twitter handle. Additional U.S. deputy marshals were asked to expand and secure the official law enforcement perimeter around the school. Deputy marshals never arrested or placed anyone in handcuffs while securing the crime scene perimeter. That's a lie.
They tasered parents, right? This is the insanity. Why give them the benefit of the doubt, right? We shouldn't.
Benefit of the doubt about
what they're saying, number one, and two, this entire saga and event.
I think it's possible they were waiting for the shooter to run out of ammo.
And they were lying through their teeth about every aspect of this. It's not out of the realm of possibility to say that they were aiding and abetting at this point when we know all the details here. Because how long? What's the time frame here? Why are there so many unanswered questions about this very specific event? And this mother came and said some very important things that contradicted the official police story once again. They can't get that story straight. They keep lying through their teeth. And when you look at their actions, they arrested, handcuffed parents, tasered parents, pushed them away, set up a blockade, and they told everyone on the news there was no active shooter. It wasn't an active shooter information. Why? What information did they have that provided that information, since there was kids inside of the school literally calling them, and with the dispatchers, with their radios, were telling them it's still an active shooter situation. Children needlessly died because of these police officers' direct intervention that killed children. This is not the truth. There's one child shot, bled out, died specifically
after
because the police
40 minutes.
After 40 minutes, there's another officer that allegedly said, say something if you're in the room and you need help. Said something, the killer shot them. This mother came out and she said two very important things. One, that there was an active shooter situation that was going on for a lot longer than the police said it was. And two, when she first came in there, she said that there was no police officers inside, but they did try to stop her outside. So what in the world were they doing? Why would they give the orders not to go in when specifically they were getting information from the radio saying it was still active? They said that they thought it was not active. What evidence did they have giving that information? They won't provide that. There needs to be some serious questions. Mm-hmm. There needs to be some accountability. Put these people on a stand right now, so we find out what happened, because the blood on those children's hands, I mean, they're responsible for it, whether you like it or not. And this whole Back the Blue crowd needs to really understand the true realm of what happened here, because it happens a lot.
Real quick, she's the threat was that she said if she spoke up, she would be charged with obstruction of justice.
If she spoke up outside in the moment?
After speaking critically about the incident to the media, Gomez said an officer threatened to charge her for violating probation on an unrelated charge for obstruction of justice.
Disgusting abuse of power. I mean, that right there shows you that they're trying to cover up and silence critics of them. Pathetic punks abusing their power. Fire all of them right now. All of them should be fired. And they should be disgusted for their behaviors.
And I want to be very clear about the Back the Blue crowd. I believe that the way that this is handled absolutely was a travesty and a tragedy. I don't believe there's any excuses for what happened.
They had a drill. They had a drill practicing this weeks ago.
I don't believe there's any excuses for it.
And they had an AI program that they literally had trying to prevent this. They were training inside of that school days before this shooting.
March.
Yes.
March.
Yeah. Days.
March 26th.
They were training to prevent and stop a mass shooting. And then their plan in action was stand outside and attack and taser and handcuff parents? This is what?
I just want to make clear that I'm making a distinction about intent. I don't believe there's any officers that had the intent to allow someone to kill children intentionally. I just want to make a distinction that I don't believe that that's what happened. I'm not saying that I don't believe that their actions led to kids dying that shouldn't have died.
So if the cops are there, they have protocol to storm the building. Even if you're a single officer, that's what the protocol said. And they all stand outside for, what was it, 70 minutes? Mm-hmm. I think you can argue what you mean by intent, but like, yeah, they were like okay with him doing it. That's the thing. They were okay with it. Absolutely, it's a fact. Like you can't stand outside hearing the gunshots go off like they did, and
pretend it's not an active shooter situation and lie through their teeth about it.
My point is, they're standing outside hearing the gunshots for 70 minutes, and they were like, no, go in. Yeah, it means they were fine with what was happening inside. Now, I understand there's going to be we can get into a semantic argument what it means to be fine.
Sure.
I'm not saying they were like high-fiving each other. I'm saying they were like, it is preferable for me to stay here than do anything to help these kids.
Well, when it comes to a business that opened up when Walmart was allowed to be open months before that, they were tough guys. They came in there. They shut down grandma's small business. A kid wasn't wearing a mask in school. They dragged him out of school, handcuffed him, arrested them in many instances. A parent had a baby that wasn't wearing a mask on a plane. They were all tough in that time. But when it came to children losing their lives, calling them, talking to them as it was happening. This is what you have to understand here about this event. They were calling 911. They were talking to their dispatchers. Dispatchers were telling them, hey, there's kids inside. They're bleeding out. They're dying. They're still being continued to shot. And your decision is like, oh, it's not an active shooter situation. We're just going to stand back here.
Well, it's in dispute that the 911 dispatch calls were making it to the officers.
My
understanding is that is in dispute, and there was some belief that the guy who's now in hiding didn't bring his communications in and wasn't relaying it. I'm just saying what I know and what is and is not confirmed, but I do agree. We're probably semantics. I think we're in the same position that where I stand on this is officers could have saved children's lives and didn't. Now, whether anyone wants to put intent on the officers, I just am not in their brain, and I don't believe that anyone would intentionally.
The police officers felt that it was preferable to remain outside while they heard the gunshots and children being killed. They preferred that.
You can't assume what they did because we don't know what they did.
Well, that's why I'm saying
they're lying through their teeth. But you saying, well, they didn't want to get hurt. We don't know that. We don't know what happened.
And to be clear, that's what I'm saying is I'm not in their heads, and neither are you.
So absolutely not. But I know they're liars.
A lot of this story has changed, right? My understanding is that CBP, the tactical unit that actually went in with the shields, were defying orders. Is that still the case?
Yes, that's an officer that showed up there, and then him and his buddy, they had a shield that they used specifically, but they waited 30 minutes. They were given orders. They got there, and they were told to stand down. They stood down for 30 minutes. Then after those 30-plus minutes, this is the official story. Again, everything should be questioned because these accounts have been contradicted multiple amounts of times, but the current story is that they waited 30 minutes, and then after 30 minutes, then they decided to disobey orders and then go in with a number of officers and a SWAT team.
Who was giving orders to allow the shooter to kill people?
Well, isn't it that guy that is now in hiding?
Is that what it was?
I think so. I think he was the commander.
So there was a protocol. A single officer was supposed to storm in. At least that's what I read. And again, the story's changed. But my understanding was in March they had done drills. The protocol was you actively engage even if you're by yourself. And it said something like if the officer goes down, another officer who arrives will have to just go in.
Yeah.
Which means there was a commanding officer giving orders to multiple agencies saying, no, let the shooter keep killing children.
So the New York Times got its hands on the actual training manual, and in there it basically tells officers you are going to have to engage in sustained and yes, sacrificial engagement with the shooter. And so basically the training said, yeah, you might have to die because these are innocent lives at risk. And so, yeah, again, I mean, I don't know how anybody can make an excuse for what has happened and what happened. And I agree with you that we can't at this point believe anything that is said about it from the official source because so much of it has been proven to be incorrect.
They have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in that small town on riot gear, SWAT gear. And they posted, pictures, which they scrubbed on their Facebook page, by the way, of them standing tough and strong with all of their AR equipment and all their body armor. But again, where did all of this money go to? Where did all this training go to? They had direct training in that specific school, and there's still so many unanswered questions that we don't know about. Why was that door open? What happened? What was there?
Now
a
they're saying
before?
it was closed.
Now they're saying it was closed. How did he get in there? Where was the school resource
How
officer?
did he get the truck? How did he get the guns? How did he get the
Exactly.
ammo?
Where did he get all that money from? Since he, of course, was allegedly, poor, working at a fast food joint. I mean, there's so many serious questions.
Some people
here.
have said credit cards, but the ammo, didn't he have like 600?
An 18-year-old getting credit cards is going to be difficult, especially with no credit score.
So real quick. So I'm sorry. How many rounds did he have? Was it 600?
I have no idea about that. I'm questioning everything
All
about
right.
this.
Anyway.
Well, my friend Allie Bradley, who used to work at Fox with me in Seattle and is an independent journalist now, she was down covering immigration at the southern border when this happened, so she was one of the first people on scene. And she spoke to the shooter's grandfather for an extended period of time and actually got some insight that no other outlet had about where he might have afforded those firearms. So he had no expenses in his life. Zero. He didn't pay rent. He didn't pay his phone bill. He didn't pay anything. And he had been working the fast food job and also working for his grandfather. Didn't have to put out a dime for anything at 18. So I think a question for me is how long had he been saving? And then also the grandfather told Allie Bradley that some of his equipment that he used for his work, some heavy duty equipment and stuff like that, had gone missing. So I think there's a possibility based on that the kid stole it, sold it, have been saving money because he wasn't doing anything with his life and was able
people
to
in the
buy it.
comments
Hold
are
on.
saying 1,600 rounds.
1,600. So what was he using? 5.56. So what are we looking at?
5.56.
Is that
so that's about $1.
$1 a round?
It
Is that what
depends
they're
where you
going
get
for?
it. You could get it for 50 cents sometimes.
But I want to point out. I think I have an answer to this. A lot of people pointed out that 4 years ago, it was reported that a couple teenagers were arrested for a plot at the school. However, it was reported these kids were not the same kid here. It was different people. They said the attack was planned for 2022. Here's what I think. It's possible those kids weren't the only ones planning it, and that they got caught and didn't rat out their buddies or whoever else. What I'm surprised about is if you have a couple kids who 4 years prior say in 2022 we're planning this. There it is. Dude gets a job at 16. He has no expenses. He works fast food and puts all the money in the bank account. All of a sudden, he's got enough money for this stuff, right? After 2 years. It sounds like he ordered the weapon before his birthday and then had it delivered so he could pick it up 2 days later. I think it's possible this kid was in on that plot from 2018 and they just didn't catch him. So why didn't police, knowing that, have any kind of surveillance precautions, considering they had arrested kids planning this 4 years ago?
Yeah, not only that, but there was a lot of warning signs. There was the torture of small animals. There was the cutting of self. Like any hallmark signs of a troubled person who's going to lash out and hurt other people, there was a lot of that. Where did our multi-billion-dollar NSA spying organization go to that tracks, traces, and databases almost every single thing we do, to the point where NSA agents have collections of people's personal wiener art that they are known to share and trade with each other? Where is the vast surveillance state that promised that would keep us safe from terrorist attacks and mass shooters, that would prevent them if we just give them a little bit of our money, if we just give up a little bit of our liberty, if we allow them to look in our phones, if we allow them to look in our laptops, if we allow them to look into every personal detail of our life? Where is the national security surveillance state when we need it? Supposedly, that was supposed to stop all of these. They're nowhere.
He posted pictures of dead cats in a bag.
Exactly. What other proof do you need that this was a troubled, crazy individual that has a history of self-harm and the ability to harm others?
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.